Attention, the following broadcast has been approved by Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, Megan Ross here bringing you this week's Smackdown review. This week was very interesting, especially because it was the home of NXT and NXT's Performance Center, but we will get into that with the episode. So Smackdown opens with a slightly less numbered Bloodline walking down and openly speaking about how the rules of engagement are going to be brought up tonight and how that is going to affect Jay and Roman's match. We then very quickly go straight into the Fatal 4-Way Invitational Tournament. This is the title opportunity for the US belt, so whoever wins this will progress to the finals, which will be going against Santos Escobar for an opportunity at the US title. Rey Mysterio is the first one out there and gets a massive, huge pop, but then the camera starts paneling to the crowd, and out of nowhere, Wesley and Dragon Lee are both watching within the crowd, and I thought this was really unique. You're already showing off quite a lot of NXT talent, especially two that I thoroughly enjoy watching in Wesley and Dragon Lee. It's a bit weird that Wesley didn't interfere more in the whole Dominic match that happens later on the night, because he only just lost the NXT USA title to Dominic, and I feel like he would have been slightly annoyed by that, but we will get into that when that match appears. But yeah, Ray had a huge pop. Even Wesley and Dragon Lee also get quite a big pop. Sheamus then walks out with an even louder pop. Cameron Grimes didn't get the same love and affection from the fans as he walked out, but I feel like that's okay because they're still learning about him. They're still trying to build where he's going and what's going forward with him, and that makes sense. But then the crowd erupts as LA Knight walks out, mic in hand, and he does the iconic "let me talk to you," yeah, and already says that, you know, SummerSlam's the biggest party around. The biggest party he wants to be invited to is the one where he takes the US title off Theory, and that there's only 3 stone pebbles for him to get through, just 3 other guys. One by one, he'll take them out. Because whose game is it? LA Knight's game. And the crowd erupts with a giant yeah, and it was just freaking awesome to see, as always. The crowd really love LA Knight. They really want LA Knight pushed. I just don't feel creative want to do that just yet, which is understandable, but also at the same time it's disheartening, because with this amount of momentum, it's like lightning in a bottle. You would want to catch that now. You wouldn't want to ruin that opportunity. A massive fight breaks loose with all of them. They go straight into it. Sheamus, Cameron Grimes, and Rey Mysterio all ended up on the outside of the ring. So you just see LA Knight standing tall. Cameron Grimes and Rey Mysterio start fighting outside. Rey gets interestingly thrown into the barricades by Grimes. There are a lot of barricade spots this episode of SmackDown. LA Knight hit a really clean clothesline, which only still got a 1 count on Sheamus, but any other wrestler, I feel like that could have really been it. It could have been a squash straight away. But it's Sheamus. Sheamus is built different. We all know this. Then there was a really nice rolling senton by Sheamus. Rey Mysterio hitting quite a few Hurricane Ranas. There's a really interesting one where he Hurricane Rana sent Cameron Grimes into LA Knight, who was on outside of the ring at the moment. So Cameron Grimes unintentionally did like a spear to LA Knight's stomach from this 619. Both Sheamus and Rey Mysterio look at each other and be like, do you want to do this? Should we do it? So they both hit the 10 beats to LA Knight and... I'm trying to remember LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. Yeah, there we go. Which was a great spot. I thought that was really fun. The both of them shake hands after, and Rey Mysterio tries to go for that really sneak, take down the legs and try and do like a roll up, and Sheamus just outpowered it. No. Rey goes, sorry, I was just, you know, heat of the moment, tried checking it. It's good, we're all good. Go to shake hands again. Sheamus is like, nah. Hits him straight away. They get carried on into the fight. There was a really nice Irish curse backbreaker as well. LA Knight dropping Sheamus on the side of the ring was an awesome spot as well that we saw, where they just threw him over. there were quite a lot of top rope fun as well. So Rey Mysterio did a really cool spot where he does a Hurricane Runner again on the outside and sends Cameron Grimes straight into Austin Theory, where Austin Theory sat ringside, and Austin Theory's popping off like, "You did that on purpose. How could you do this?" Getting really angry, and then Sheamus just drops in, hits both of them, and knocks them out from the top rope, which I thought was really cool. LA Knight stopped, and then we had some LA Knight back and forth. LA Knight stopping some of the like count outs. Same again with Cameron Grimes. There were a lot of like counters going on. There's a really cool top rope clothesline as well on LA Knight that Sheamus hit. And then Sheamus hit a white noise on LA Knight as well. So we were all like, "Oh, Sheamus is going to win this now." White noise rarely gets kicked out. LA Knight kicks out for a 2, which I thought was really cool. But then Sheamus is taunting LA Knight because they're the only two that are in the ring at the moment, and says he's going to do the bro kick. He does the whole taunt of taking the mick out of the LA Knight, going the 1, 2, 3, and he just throw it across the neck, saying, "Nah, it's done." But LA Knight caught the bro kick as it was coming, and I was like, "Yes, this is all I care about. This is what's freaking awesome." Countered it. We didn't get LA Knight do any cool skull crushing finale or anything like that. He just did a very quick power slam on Sheamus. He gets a 2 count, but Ray breaks it out. Cameron Grimes hits a really clean collision on Rey Mysterio as well, which also gives another 2 count. There's a lot of back and forth of these 2 count near falls. Rey Mysterio hits a beautiful setup, 619 on Sheamus and Cameron Grimes to get the win. He goes top rope, goes for a splash, lands it on Cameron Grimes. You get the 1, 2, the 3 is about to hit. Austin Theory pulls Rey Mysterio out, which then erupts in Santos Escobar running down, fighting Theory. They implode into a massive fight. LA Knight hits a big elbow to Sheamus. Sheamus then bro kicks LA Knight. Cameron Grimes then also does a cave in to Sheamus, and then Rey Mysterio quickly gets a reversal and hits Cameron Grimes for the win anyway. So next week we now have the Master and the Apprentice type of storyline where, you know, Santos Escobar is now the protege of Rey Mysterio in LWO, and they're now fighting for that USA title opportunity. It's a cool storyline, but I don't feel like Rey Mysterio needed this or Santos Escobar needed this going forward. I feel like this definitely should have been LA Knight, and I feel like LA Knight should have had that US opportunity in SummerSlam. Even if he did lose at SummerSlam, I feel like you need to really capitalize on the momentum and the lightning in the bottle of what the crowd are giving LA Knight right now. Don't get me wrong, I love the storyline of Master vs. Student, but you already kind of had this with Rey Mysterio. You already had it with his son, and his sons became heel. So unless Santos is going to turn heel, or this is just going to be a friendly rivalry that turns like, look, either way, LWO will be bringing a belt home, I'm okay with it, but there were better options in my eyes for that. We then have the, I hope I pronounce them right, the Cavendier twins were shown. They are the newest twins that have been signed to NXT and are in the Performance Center learning about it. And they're just hyping them up as like new twin tag champions, because obviously the twins with Jay and Jimmy, and that's the main storyline at the moment. You had very interesting people backstage that Jay walked past. So you had Tony D'Angelo there, which I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. He just literally got out of prison on Tuesday due to the fact of like what was going on with Gallus and everyone. To a couple more steps down, the Creed brothers were there and shook Jay's hand. We thought the Creed brothers were gone because they've been kicked out of NXT, and we've not been told any other brand they're going to. But they were dressed all smart. Is this them going for a meeting or an interview to try and get put on SmackDown? Or do we see them next week on Raw? Or are they free agent status and can linger about and go wherever they want? Because they're not signed to NXT anymore. So who knows? I thought that was amazing, but the crowd really didn't pick up on that, or commentary, they never really said much. So that was a bit of a bummer, because I was like, that's a perfect moment to give a bit more explanation of what's going on. we cut away the cameras to Jay walking off to, we see Austin Theory storming towards Adam Pearce going, I want a match. Santos Escobar, who the hell does he think he has? I am the US champion. I had every right to be there. He didn't, and he just comes and attacked me. I want a match. Adam Pearce is like, sure, I can make a match official for the US title, yeah? You want it tonight? And he's like, no, I don't want him to have a goddamn match at the opportunity of the belt. He needs to earn that. I just want to have a match to prove a point to him. And Adam Pearce is like, yeah, fine, I'll make the match official. Go ahead. We get to the next match, but as it's transitioning in the crowd, we see more NXT people, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, because, you know, Carmelo and Trick never miss. And it was very interesting to see how many NXT talent they're showing because of it being in NXT Home. Part of me feels like maybe teasing towards SummerSlam, Survivor Series NXT joining back in, because there's a lot of big known talent that would really draw eyes to Survivor Series if NXT joined there, and they showed a lot of that talent people are enjoying in NXT. We go to the Charlotte Flair vs Io Sky match, and once again they show another NXT star. They show that Tiffany Stratton is watching in the crowd, which is the NXT Women's Champion. So this is very interesting because they're showing all these NXT champions and they're showing all these NXT stars. What if Tiffany got involved in that match in a way? But they didn't. But that could have happened. Io Sky having the Money in the Bank as well. Could have cashed it in, but she didn't. We get a quick recap of how we even got to this match of the chaos of last week's SmackDown. If you haven't watched my review of that, please do so, because it's more in-depth of what I'm going to go over here. But it was a quick fallout of we land to Charlotte and Io having a one-on-one. They go in really strong. You get a lot of back and forth with this match, and just it goes off. We go from a top rope arm drag off Io, but Charlotte's athleticism says no, I'm going to flip my way out of it, which you see audibly and visually annoyed Io. And they go back and forth, a lot of high-flying moves, not landing a lot of things, to a point where Io just goes, forget this, then rushes down and just starts slamming fists down into Charlotte's face, just rushing the punches. Charlotte gets back off the ground and gets opportunities herself, where Charlotte climbs to the top rope as Io's distracted, holding her face from one of the hits, and does a top rope across the body. We also get another great spot where Io is in the middle of the ring, middle of the rope, bounces on it, hits a clean double drop kick, which I thought was a spectacular spot, and they need to do more of those, not just utilising the side of the ropes and the turnbuckles, but actually going, hey, from middle and top of the ropes. I think it's such a cool spot to have. We had some Io doing Hurricane Runners towards Charlotte and did it on the outside. We cut to a commercial break, and very quickly on the commercial break we see that Charlotte is pointing herself, saying suck it towards Bayley, because Charlotte has now got the momentum back. Io's in the ground hurt, and Bayley's like, shut up, whatever. A lot of back and forth happened in the ring. Io tries to go for submissions on Charlotte, but Charlotte breaks out. We get 2 counts. Then we keep rolling. Io gets back up and is attacking Flair's tweaked knee. She tweaked the knee kind of early in the match with one of the top rope spots that they had. And Io keeps doing many different things, many different hits, gets hit by a load of chops by Charlotte, goes for a crossbody, is denied. Charlotte throws her back with a power throw, and we go into a lot more of back and forth 2 counts, because Charlotte starts it with a flip over into a clothesline, only for a 2 count. Charlotte then decides to put Io to the top of the rope, chopping her and hitting her. Bayley says I've had enough, throws her headset off commentary, runs towards Charlotte and beats a distraction. This gives Io an opportunity. Io hits Charlotte's face on the ground, slides down, picks up Charlotte and runs and does a power slam, which I thought was very interesting, because now they're both wiped out on the floor, and in those moments the Titantron turns on and you hear Shotzi's voice going, Bayley, loads of scissors sounding and a very psychotic broken laugh is coming through, which you can see scares the heck out of Bayley, and Bayley's like, look, I gotta go, like, something's gonna happen, I'm gonna need to leave now, which visually pissed off Io, because you can see Io being like, bro, I need your help though, I want you to, like, cash in if I like, anyone else comes out, like, if Asuka and that's there, I need your help there, but it doesn't happen. But Io goes straight back to her roots and goes, fine, I'm gonna have to just do this on my own, go my high fly style. Goes to hit the moonsault on Charlotte. Charlotte denies it. Charlotte tries to do the same, and Io denies it with boot to the chin. We had then Io get crossface applied to her. Io applied the crossface to Charlotte, which I thought was really cool. That Io's trying to do more of these submission holds. A lot of back and forth again of these two breaks. A lot of counter into counter. Charlotte does a really interesting spot where she counters into a Boston Crab. Io grabs the legs and reverses it to do a flip over 2 count. Gets broken up. And then commentary makes an interesting point where this is probably the first major reveal that we have the triple threat officially happening of Asuka, Charlotte and Bianca. So I was like, okay, this is really unique, and this puts a lot of pressure on Asuka because obviously Io can still linger around with that Money in the Bank. Flair spear hits on Io, and Io still kicked out at 2, which I was really shocked because 9 times out of 10, Charlotte's spear is now what ends on the figure 4. Charlotte did try and hit a figure 4. Io counters that. Charlotte does a suplex for a 2 count again. Charlotte won with a very quick opportunity of the ref checking. Charlotte quickly sneaks in, does natural selection, and hits that. So that was really unique that we went that way. We then had Snapdragon on Charlotte, and then Asuka lock. Asuka decides it's time for me to sneak in after Charlotte won the match. Wow. Yeah, it was a Snapdragon from Asuka, and then Asuka locked Charlotte because Charlotte won the match with the natural selection as mentioned, which I thought was a great spot. Really showed that Asuka is being here for it and wants to powerhouse it. We then have a backstage interview with the new NXT USA Title Champion being Butch, and walks to challenge Dom for the belt, being like, we're in NXT's home. How about a USA title match against me? And he's like, well, I'm not dressed, the belt's not polished, no one from NXT is here to make it official. Shawn Michaels just walks out and he's like, no, that sounds like a good match. Which office is Adam Pearce to Butch? And Butch is like, oh, it's down that way. And he's like, Shawn's like, alright, let me walk down, let me see if I can make it official. Which then is made official. But this is what I was saying, I was surprised Wes Lee wasn't backstage or got involved there. I know he's watching the show, but he could have like had some engagement with this or been more involved. We then cut to another backstage segment where Roman is staring at the necklace of Solo, and Solo is staring at the necklace as well, is what I was meant to say there, which I thought was very interesting because Roman notices Solo notices Roman, but they don't say anything, they're both just staring at it, and that's where that bit ends, so they add that tension there, which I thought was pretty cool. We go to the Austin Theory match, which he requested to go against Santos Escobar. Once again, Santos comes out with a big pop. He's really grown his character since Money in the Bank. I feel like the fans are really behind him, showing that he can really hit hard now, and he's really pushed himself with the LWO as well. The match hit very strong very early on. A lot of powerful kicks, especially a clean double drop kick that Santos hits to Austin very early on. But Austin returns the favour, hitting just as strong. Slams a German suplex on Santos really early. Santos hits another Hurricane Rana. Austin responds with a DDT. There's several back and forth spots in this match of where they're just being arrogant and cocky. Well, like Austin is, and Santos is just watching him and be like, okay, cool, you want to do that? I can match that, which I thought was really cool. There's a really interesting spot where we have him trying to power over the ropes of Santos, and Santos is just like, no, fights against it, hits a drop kick straight onto Theory, and Theory drops out to then Santos goes, cool, time to dives through the ropes, driving Theory onto this announce desk table. Crowd screaming and chanting for Santos Escobar, Rio Hurricane Rana, and Santos very much goes his quick lucha libre style, wrestling down with Santos, and Theory tries to land an 8-arm down after he's had a load of hits that Santos has done. Santos quickly reverses it and tries to do a top rope, but was stopped. Then, once again, when Austin climbs up to meet him there, he's like, no, it's me doing it. I'm going to do this. Santos is like, no, and reverses it, slams them both down, which was incredible from the top rope. It really had some big height to it. And then Santos hits a Phantom Driver and wins that match. Is this them teasing Santos Escobar is going to be our new US champion if he beats Rey Mysterio? Or is this the fallout where Santos is going to be upset if Rey Mysterio beats him because Santos has Austin Theory's number and beat him? So it'll be interesting to see where this goes and where the storyline progresses, because I don't want LWO to fall out because they've only just got that momentum and heat and like all got back together. But we can see where this goes. And speaking of Mysterios, we now go into the Dominic and Butch match. It was made official very, very quickly. Crowd heavy booing Dominic. And Butch is just there. Quite a big part for Butch, walking out to the Brawling Brutes theme. Part of me still wants him to bring back his own theme when he fights solo, but I understand why they don't. It's very two different characters. But the fact we've had Butch talk the normal way he does, Pete Dunne style, and doing the manipulation breaking in the match that he's had here, gives me the idea that Butch might be on the way out and Pete Dunne might be on the return. But the match opened strong, a lot of back and forth grappling spots, then Butch going hard with joint manipulation on Dominic. You can see Dominic hating it, really struggling every different time. A lot of different joint manipulations in the fingers and knees hitting the arm, looking like he's trying to break the arm. There was a whole spot where Dominic gets away from it, slides out. Rhea sneaks metal chains to Dom's hand to hit Butch, where we see Ridge the Fridge run down and stop it. Butch hits a clean drop kick for a 2 count onto Dominic in this opportunity, and Ridge is just stood there to try and stop anything else going on. We get Butch being Butch, dominating the match again, to Pretty Deadly have been wheeled down. When I say Pretty Deadly being wheeled down, we have Elton Prince being wheeled down by Kit Wilson. And what I found really unique about this is they named the wheelchair Prince William, which I found really hilarious as being someone from the UK. I get the jokes. It hit quite well. And Butch does a double knee drop on Dom's arm, where you could see Rhea Ripley just being like, oh, no, that hurt. Cole says that on commentary. And you see Rhea just rip into it, be like, shut your mouth, Cole. I'm damn sick of you. Dirty Dom's fine. You don't know what you're talking about. And you just hear Cole, for the first time in years, be silent. And I was like, okay, that's really cool that he's been silented by Rhea. They really played into Rhea knows how to screw people over. You see this back and forth go ahead of Cole and Butch. Butch countered a 619. That was going to happen. And Kit Wilson got left by Elton Prince because Ridge and Butch just staring them down like, I'm annoyed by this. And you just see Elton panicking like, please don't, like, just don't hurt me. And as they go to swing at him, he just runs out of the wheelchair and runs down. You get Ridge chase him down. It really sucks because obviously they're using this as story progression and everything, but Ridge ended up deleting his Twitter because fans constantly blamed him for the shoulder injury. No one goes out in those rings to actually hurt another wrestler, like physically hurt them. You know, this is not how wrestling is meant to be. Those incidents and accidents happen, end of the day. And it sucks that Ridge had to face those. But we continue going forward. The match continues as the ref was distracted by everything going on. Rhea hits a leg hit straight into Butch's leg, which really hurt his knee. And Dom luckily gets this opportunity, slams Butch into the barricade, and does a 1-2-3 pin. I get this. I understand why they're doing it and pushing Dom already. It sucks Butch doesn't get more highlight in this match because he's great at what he can do, and I feel like a USA opportunity or an NXT belt opportunity again for Butch would be really cool. Even if he's in Brawling Brutes or not, I'd just like to see some, metal around Butch again because I was a huge Pete Dunne fan in his NXT run. We now go to the main event. And this was a very unique main event because it was more just a contract signing main event. You have Jay come out with the real Chief, and it has Jey Uso on the back shirt. I really like it. Crowd pop for Jay, of course, and you can see he's walking back and forth waiting for Roman. But as soon as Roman's music hits, you see Jay look visibly upset, like visibly scared going forward with this. Roman makes his way down with Solo and Paul Heyman, very much like a beeline ready for war. It wasn't the same slow, throw the ones up, really eat up the crowd. It was like, nah, we've got an agenda here. Interesting point to make, Solo Sikoa often was staring down Jay multiple times, and at times when they were staring down, you didn't know if it was a stare down of a, I want to fight, or I'm concerned of where this is going to go for you, Jay. You've got Orlando shouting, acknowledge me. Roman takes his seat as the head of the table at the signature desk. He moves his chair to the top, which I thought was a really cool spot. He's done it a couple of times before when they've had contract signings, but this one just felt like I'm proving a point of how I'm head of the table. And he asks if Jay still wants to do this. Jay responds with, yes, I want to do this. I have to. You're making me. You got Jimmy in a hospital, so I've got to get you. Roman says he won't get him because he doesn't get it all. He's just a soldier. He's just a pawn in this game. Crowd chanting for the Usos, and Jay takes this contract that Roman has just signed and rips it up and goes, we don't need a contract. The contract's in the blood, and this is now tribal combat. To Roman looks at him and goes, do the elders know this? With Jay stone cold looking him in the face and goes, it was the elders' idea. Which I thought was very interesting to state. And Jay lists anything he's going to do to Roman. I found them quite funny. It also made Roman laugh, which we didn't expect to see. But Jay states a spot where I'll grab that woman's slipper that she's swinging about and I'll throw it and slap you across the face with it. And you just see then Roman go back to his character, shouting Little Jay and Orlando, shut your mouth. This isn't my first rodeo. I've ran this business for nearly a decade. Places the belt down and goes, I don't care. I don't need it anymore. And then about it, it's done. And then you just see Jay look at him and go, no, this is tribal combat. And looks at the necklace. So Roman places the necklace down with the belt, which is more symbolic to Roman because that shows how he was the head of the table. The elders gave him that responsibility of that necklace. And this is now him fighting for his tribe and him showing that he can still wear this necklace, which I thought was cool. We then get to a point where Roman starts to walk out and then Solo just loses it, flips the table, goes to Samoan Spike Jay, and Roman stops him. And Solo just looks at him, what are you doing? Solo looks like he's about to stop. And Jay didn't care in that moment. He straight up kicks Solo, lights out, swings him out of the ring very quickly, and then they're all walking away in genuine shock and frustration. And you could see Solo doesn't know how to hold himself, doesn't know how to take it. The fact of that should have been the moment where Roman and Solo swung back. And they didn't. They just walked away. And you can hear Paul Heyman going, he said the elders did this. The elders decided this. Even Paul Heyman didn't know it was going to become this. And it scares them now. And that's how we end this SmackDown. I thought, great storyline, progression for the Bloodline. They're still adding more to the Judgment Day, which I thought was really cool. And this Fatal 4-Way was very good. Really enjoyable match. I just wish there were a different winner. And I really want them to once again capture this lightning in a bottle that is LA Knight right now. Other than that, that's SmackDown. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what was your favourite bit, and if you believe that LA Knight should be a champion now or later down the line. I'll see you on the next review.